Hi everyone, I'm Brianne Kimmel and I'm here with Marina from LinguaTrip.
Hey.
So excited to talk to you guys today and to learn a little bit more about your company.
Cool, I'm very excited as well.
And to give you guys a little bit of context, so Marina and I actually met at Mixpanel office hours. So I was there speaking about analytics and my experience and growth, and we had a chance to catch up quickly and have been really enjoying getting to know you and your co-founder.
Yeah, thank you. It was great meeting you during the office hours, and I could totally relate to what you were talking about, like in terms of growing in Expedia and growth marketing.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit more about LinguaTrip?
Yeah, so LinguaTrip is a one-stop shop for students for effective language learning practices. So basically, if you're a student and you need a language for your work or either to get into top university, you need to learn it fast and you need to learn it in the best way. And this is what we're helping students with.
Yeah, that's great. Can you tell me a little bit more on the demand side? So you have students who need to learn a new language. Are they mainly learning this out of leisure? Is it more professional development? Like, what are some of the use cases that you're seeing?
Yeah, so 90% of our students will learn English, and because they cannot grow professionally, they cannot grow as a person without speaking fluent English. So for example, imagine a student in Russia or in China and they want to do a top MBA in the United States to come back to their country and become a CEO, and they only have a year because they're graduating from their bachelor's program, and they realize their English is beginner and they need to be advanced in a year. And if you're just using an app, or if you are taking tuition or on Skype, you won't be able to improve in a year that fast. But what we're offering them is coming to the United States, for example, studying in a local language school, staying with the local family, and getting this education and immersing themselves in language.
Okay, great. Yeah, and you touched on, so there's a lot of apps out there for learning a language, but it seems like a lot of these apps are more either learning phrases or learning specific words. Can you kind of speak to how the content is different once you do it in the native country and what that looks like?
Exactly, yeah. So when you start with an app, it's just, you can start with an app. You can learn some words, you can learn some basic grammar, but language is not about learning words, it's about speaking and using it and presenting yourself, pitching your startup like I'm doing it because my native language is Russian. So, and this is what we help students with. When they come here, the only option for them to communicate with people is to use their English. So they come to the residence, the manager talks in English, and they come to the language school and everybody speaks English, and students come from, I don't know, 100 different countries. So the only language to talk to them is English.
Got it, that makes sense. What's interesting, when I was going through the data, I realized that your customer acquisition cost is extremely low. So right now it's around $13.
Yeah.
In December it was around $50.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to how is your acquisition cost so low when you're targeting such a premium buyer?
We're producing a lot of content around what's happening with our customers. So I've been in the place of our customer myself. So back 4 years ago, I wanted to enter an American university and get a full ride scholarship, and I didn't know how to do that. When I've done that, when I got full rides from Johns Hopkins, University of Florida, I realized that it is possible, and I started creating content around that. And when students are looking for ways to get abroad, they subscribe to our channels and we educate them. You need to start with the language, this is how you apply, or if you want to get a job abroad, or if you want to move to another country, we give them a lot of content, so we educate them about the problem, and we also offer services alongside with that.
That's great. Well, and I think what's really interesting, and one of the reasons that we've spent a lot of time together, is I think that you've done a fantastic job from a content perspective.
Thank you.
So
thanks a lot.
You have how many thousand followers on YouTube?
So today it's going to be like 800,000. I have 2 channels, so yeah, 800,000.
Okay, great. Well, and in addition to that, I think when we first started getting to know each other, you had mentioned that you have a lot of videos around losing your accent.
Yes.
Can you kind of speak to that? Because I've noticed you don't have an accent, and in a lot of the videos, you can see that this is kind of a challenge that a lot of people have to learn, like, how do I lose this over time?
Yeah, it's about different techniques that you can use. Like, I listen to you, I copy something, if I like something, how you sound, and it's about placing your tongue in the right place in your mouth. And yeah, this is what you can actually learn online even without traveling, and this is how we start onboarding clients, because we have like online intensives where we show them how to put your language in the mouth in the right place, and the next step is actually coming here and practicing.
That's great. One interesting thing that I know is more recent for you guys is you've recently met someone from Silicon Valley, the TV show.
Yeah, Jimmy.
How did you meet Jimmy? How did you get connected? And what was that experience like?
So Jimmy has always been my favorite character on the show because he's an immigrant and he's gone through the whole process. You know, he's trying to adapt to the culture. And I just reached out to him on Instagram because I have a big Instagram following, bigger than his. And I just reached out and told, hey, I'm Marina. I have a whole YouTube channel around successful immigrants and I want to inspire people. And could we do an interview? You're coming to San Francisco. And he got back to me in like 30 minutes. And he's like, yes, of course, let's do it. And we just met. And I love his story. He came here when he was 13 and he was struggling to adapt to the culture because he was from another country. He couldn't speak the language and he had the problems that our students have. So we talked a lot about that.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you sort of feel like is content the future of customer acquisition, or like what are your thoughts on the way that you're marketing the company and how that's helped you grow over time?
Yeah, I think first it's creating content and education instead of just selling, just buy. You need to show the emotional thing behind them, like why would you travel? What are the consequences of you traveling? Second thing is also building personal brand behind founders, because eventually people want to buy from people, not from like a website. So when you are able to show your own success and how people can reach the same success by buying your product, I think this is key as well.
For founders who haven't created their own personal content, do you think that that's something they should prioritize, or at what point do you start thinking about personal brand and content writing and really doing that side of the business?
I think from day one, but I know some people are not comfortable with cameras and it's okay, and people hire other people to do that, but I think content creation is very important.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'd love to spend a little bit of time talking about the supply side of the business, because I think that's what's really interesting, and how we got connected was thinking about sort of the Expedia model and how you can connect and create a platform with a lot of different schools. Can you kind of speak to what types of schools are on the platform? If you're willing to share, what does your actual margins look like? What's in it for the schools, and what are you actually getting out of it?
So we work with different variety of schools. We have bigger schools like Kaplan and EF, and we also work with family-run schools. We get percentage on tuition fees, and sometimes because we send a lot of students to those schools, they give us higher percentage, and we're able to share that margin with our students, so they get lower prices by booking through us. And we help schools reach out to a lot of different nationalities, because if you're a small family-run school, how do you translate your website into major languages? This is what we do for them. We market them to different nationalities of students.
Got it, that makes sense. And before LinguaTrip, how would these schools manage admissions, or what kind of technology were they using?
Yeah, great question. So they would mostly do a lot of stuff with agents. So they would physically go to conferences, recruit agents in different countries. And this is how we started back in 2011. So we were an offline company and we had to call schools, we had to fill in the forms, and what we've done with LinguaTrip, we automated the whole process.
Got it, that makes a lot of sense. And then what's it like working with potential smaller schools versus working with Ivy League schools? Is there a difference in terms of the account management and how you're working with them? How do you facilitate such a broad spectrum in terms of supply?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's all about connecting with people from those schools, and many schools, even bigger schools, understand how we market and understand our soul behind the project, and it doesn't really matter whether they're big or small. So yeah, it's about making sure that the partner is the right fit.
That's great, yeah. So in terms of next steps for LinguaTrip, how are you thinking about the product, or what are some things that are coming up soon?
So we want to focus on international expansion. We want to target more students from different countries, and because every country is different, we need to adapt for every geography, and also strengthening our technology behind everything.
Are there certain markets that you're starting to think more about, and what's sort of causing that prioritization?
So we're working with a lot of Spanish speakers right now, and this is our target because they are very active travelers, and if they're in Spain, they would travel to the UK. If they are in Chile or Mexico, they would travel to Canada or United States. So yeah, this is the next market, and the third market would be Germany.
Got it, that makes sense. And if they're traveling already, what does that current process look like?
So Yeah, again, it's going to a local agency and, you know, like travel industry 20 years ago, talking to a person, like asking what's the best school. And what we're doing, we're creating this marketplace where they can compare, read real student reviews, and then book it online without like going anywhere.
Got it. How important are reviews to the platform?
Very important, and the most important thing is that we publish everything. Even if a student is completely dissatisfied with the school, we will of course notify the school, but we'll also publish the reviews so they can improve their services. So we're like this, I don't know, somebody who improves the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. You're essentially probably demystifying a lot of things if you're traditionally only going to one agent and you're not quite sure what the experience is going to be like.
This is what happens. Yeah, an agent might work with like 2 or 3 schools, and then he would only market them because they gave them, you know, better conditions. And our mission is to bring transparency to the market.
Got it. Can you kind of speak to, so for students, are they taking just one trip? Is this more of a trip that they take once per year? Like, what is their goal?
So it really depends on where they are in terms of the language. If they are almost proficient, they might take just one trip and then take the exams at the end of the trip, and we will help them with their admissions, then they're following their larger goal. If they're a beginner, they would normally take like maybe 3 or 4 trips, and they would start with like a destination that is closer to their hometown, and they will go like to the UK maybe if they're from Europe, and they will end up going to the States for like 3 or 4 months. That really depends. We also have a lot of online products, so if they're not ready to travel yet, they can take an online course with a teacher from the States, you know, learn the accent, learn the local culture, and then travel.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So in terms of next steps, like what are some ways that myself or our audience, like how can we help you?
First of all, follow me on YouTube, follow our company's profiles on YouTube, LinguaTrip. We have 2 channels, LinguaTrip TV and English Bro. Second, follow my accounts, Lingua Marina and Marina Mogilko, Lingua Marina on Instagram and LinguaTrip on Instagram. And we're also looking to raise our Series A, so we're looking for investors.
That's great. One final thing, you named a lot of YouTube channels, you named a lot of social channels. How many videos are you creating each week?
We create 4 YouTube videos and around 4 Instagram videos.
Okay, that's awesome.
A lot, yeah.
And are you trying to pull in celebrities like Jimmy as much as possible, or what's been the overall content strategy?
If they're a good fit, we're not chasing celebrities just because they're celebrities. I think if they're a good fit, they become our friends, and we're friends with a lot of celebrities all over the world if they understand what we're doing.
Got it.
And I think we're just looking for the right people.
That's awesome. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Keep making the videos, they're very fun, and we'll be sure to have everyone subscribe.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Subscribe to this channel as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.